Hello, this is Hugo Prévost, and you are listening to a brand new SVGA DLC. Earlier this week, I talked with Laura Körting, the co-producer and founder of Lab 132, a German studio who is working on the management sim Orbit Industries. Enjoy! Hello, so today I'm joined by Laura Körting. She is the co-founder and producer of Lab 132, which is a German studio. So hello, Laura.
Hi, I'm Laura.
Thank you for being here today with us to talk about Orbit Industries. Just to want to be sure, do we pronounce it orbit.industries or is it just for visual effect? More?
It is for visual effects, so Orbit Industries is correct.
That's perfect. So Orbit Industries, which is a, what do you call it? I'm guessing it's a management game. It's a space station simulator. Is both of those
Yes,
things?
yes, exactly. It's at its core, it's a space station building and management game. That's kind of the core gameplay you can expect.
And I had the occasion to play the demo because there's a demo version out, which is, I think it's a nice trend to bring back because if our maybe older listeners remember, there used to be a time when we didn't really have access to a fast connection on the internet. So we had all these demos on disk, and we used to play them over and over and again until the game came out. And for a time, we didn't have any demo version, so we had to take a guess and to see if the game was good before buying it for 20, 30, 40, for even more.
Yeah, yeah.
And now there's a demo version. I think it's on Steam, it's on GOG. Like I said, I had the occasion, the time to play with it a little bit. It's quite interesting. Could you tell me a bit more about the origin of the idea? Were you approached by the publisher, which is Klabater, or was it an in-studio idea?
Yeah, it was our own idea. The idea started kind of around 2017, 2016 already, when we were founding the company just. And we started fiddling on a prototype and just brainstorming some ideas for our first game that we wanted to do. Then our focus kind of shifted for a few years, actually, on more porting and contract work stuff to get money, get the business going, get the company going. And then at some point, we were able to shift our focus back to Orbit Industries. We also got some funding, both from the German state that we live in, as well as the German government. They have a bigger funding opportunity for games. They have been for, I think, like 2 years. And with that, we were able to go into full production. And then summer 2021, so last year summer, we felt that the game was in a good enough state to approach publishers. So we didn't think we would be able to publish ourselves. On the technical side, we would. We know the pipeline, especially for consoles, pretty well. But QA, we didn't have enough manpower for enough QA and testing. We have no idea about marketing or PR or anything like that. So we definitely wanted to go with a publisher. And then just how it goes, contact lots of publishers, go into lots of meetings, pitch your ideas, get feedback, send over some documents again, get more feedback. And then in the end, we decided to go with Klabater because it seemed very indie friendly, and we were very happy with the contact and the tools and experience they have. Yeah, so the idea was ours, and it just kind of, I don't know where it came from, just kind of personal interest especially from our lead designer, but also from the whole team about space in general. Just
I see. And maybe for people who don't, really know the game yet, you have to, like the title suggests a little bit, you have to manage your space station, which is separated between scientific research. You have to, there's some missions you have to accomplish. You have to also build modules. And I think that's one of the most interesting parts because there's a whole planning phase, if you will, of this game, where you not only have to construct physical parts of your station in space, but you also have to connect in a sort of a Tron-like grid or something inside the station where you have to manage your resources. And as someone who played a lot of Factorio and its games like that, I saw this and I said, okay, no, that's very dangerous. I could easily lose myself in this, spend a few hours just connecting dots and lanes. And
it offers lots of potential for don't want to say micromanaging because it has kind of a negative touch, but you can really lose yourself in reorganizing everything. And
and I'm sure it's I wasn't able to play for a lot of hours on the demo version, but I saw a glimpse of problems that can be cropping up. You don't have enough manpower, don't have enough energy or water or whatever else. And once again, I was thinking to myself, oh, that's something. There's a phase, a bit of a gaming phase where you're so focused on resolving problems, and hours can fly by, and you can wake up and it's 6 a.m. I have to go to work. As I mentioned, I mentioned Factorio. There's a bunch of course, many of the other management games out there today. Was there an inspiration for your game? Was there a group of games that you told yourself, we want to take some stuff from these titles and use them or use the mechanics in our game?
Nothing specific comes to mind. Of course, there are certain mechanics or actions that you can make as a player from typical simulation and strategy games. Most of the game's inspiration just draws from classic science fiction movies, literature, and so on, Star Trek, Babylon 5, stuff like that. That's kind of where the overall inspiration came from. Also the modules you're able to build. That was heavily inspired by not specific games, but more the sci-fi genre in itself.
And what was the biggest problem when it came to because you, of course, going from the idea to the actual product is a very long process. Was there a group of obstacles you have to overcome in order to get where you are today?
Oh, lots. Just lots of small problems. I think all game developers can relate to this, or anyone who has ever tried to kind of professionally make games themselves. The original idea was those 3 separate views you have. You have the outside view of the station where you do all the building. It has kind of a 3D realistic look. We wanted to make the graphics look very nicely, realistically. And then we wanted to separate the management aspects from the outside view. So we created this kind of inside view, management view of the station, this kind of abstract blueprint-like, very unusually looking interior. Because we thought putting all the research management aspects, like where to put the pipelines, which resource is flowing, the workforce, and so on, into the outside view would make it very chaotic very quickly. So we wanted to completely separate that. And this is also something we didn't see in any other games. So our game kind of offers 2 little different gameplays. You have the outside building and the inside management. They're pretty different. So we have kind of 2 in 1. And then the third main view is just very UI heavy, the procurement, where you work, take on paid contracts, where you unlock new modules and so on. So those are kind of the 3 main views. This core idea of the 3 main views was very easy, not easy to come up with, but we had that very early on. We had a prototype in a few weeks or months, but of course after that the real work began. Gameplay, fully implementing all the mechanics, making sure everything is working together, making sure it works on all the platforms we wanted to tackle. From the beginning, we were aiming for all consoles. Then, kind of in the middle of development, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X came out. So we were like, okay, let's do that as well. Let's do next-gen consoles as well. All the polishing, Then when we found our publisher, they of course had some very valuable feedback as well. There's an AI kind of guiding you through the game, giving you some hints and comments, guiding you through the mission. That was just implemented sometime last year because it was based on an idea by our publisher, who said, hey, why not put an AI into this? And we were like, that's an excellent idea. Why didn't we think of it? So that came in very late. Yeah. And then lots of small stuff.
You talked about adapting the game for consoles. I played it on the PC with a mouse and keyboard, but I'm trying to visualize having to navigate because there's a lot of menus, lots of buttons to press.
Yeah.
Did you have to change the interface in order to accommodate someone with a controller?
We didn't change it at any point, but we, of course, when starting to make concepts and mock-ups for the interfaces and then implementing them, we always had to do that with consoles in mind. So we didn't have to iterate over it or create separate interfaces for PC and consoles. We wanted to make it one package and not differentiate between the versions. Yeah. And also the input, the controls, we always had to think about it kind of gamepad first or controller first in mind, and try to tackle it this way to spare us some work and difficulties in the end, because we didn't want to focus on the PC version too long and then kind of do the console versions in the end. It was always a very parallel process. Yeah.
There was another thing that was pleasantly surprised about is the localization, because, well, I speak French is my mother tongue, and usually what happens is games are either only available in English or it's a translation done with Google Translate, and so there's errors and mistakes and so on. And I was surprised to see that, well, it's in French by default. Well, for me, because I'm guessing my operating system is in French, and then it's well written. It's there's no clipping, there's no apparent mistakes. Was it something you wanted to do from the beginning, to offer the game in multiple languages?
Yeah. It was also planned from the very beginning that we wanted to tackle at least some European languages, French, Italian, Spanish, and so on. For consoles, it's also mandatory. If you want to publish in some regions, South America, for example, you can publish if you don't have a Spanish version. So we planned for localization early on. Yeah, and then if you like the French translation, I'll have to pass that compliment on to the localization agency we worked with. I warned them from the beginning that it would not be easy to translate because, for example, all the modules and systems, they have a name and then an abbreviation. Yeah. And the abbreviation, of course, has to make sense in the individual languages. They can't just take that over from English and reuse it, because in French or Chinese, it might not make sense. So the local agency kind of had to put some design efforts into this and come up with their own abbreviations and use them correctly throughout all the texts. And that's really cool. Also, the achievements, the trophies are also very well localized, in my opinion. I'm very happy with the work the local agency did.
And now I think the game is coming out in 10 days, so on April 21st.
Yes, exactly.
Are you stressed a little bit? Are you nervous?
I think it depends. Some days I wake up and I'm excited beyond everything, and then some days I wake up and I'm scared as hell. So it very much depends, and it might change over the course of the day as well.
Of course. And once the game is out, do you plan to? I always ask the same question. Do you plan to eventually offer more content or some expansions, maybe, or do you think, okay, it's done, it's out there, and we're taking a little break, and then we'll go back to, when we come back, we work on a new project or a new idea?
We do have a new project in planning already, but it shouldn't start for another few months. So we definitely plan on kind of staying with Orbit Industries for a good while. We have well, I don't want to say a medium-sized team, but we have the manpower to do both. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we want to stay with Orbit Industries, of course, do some kind of community management, answer questions, get feedback. And then, of course, we already have our own ideas for more content, more fixes, more improvements, DLCs. We, of course, have several ideas for that. And I think we'll just have to see after the release what kind of attention the game is getting and what players wish for, what should we put our focus on. Maybe the things we think about players might enjoy in the form of a patch after a few weeks might not be what players actually want. So we'll have to see, gather that feedback, and then plan out the next months.
Well, Laura Körting, co-founder and producer at Lab 132, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
And the game is, as I said, Orbit Industries is out on April 21st. It's on PC, it's on console, so you can buy it. And we can play the demo. As I said, there's a demo version if you want to try it before you buy it. So once again, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And that's it for this DLC. Once again, my name is Hugo Prévost. Thank you for listening to SVGA, your PC retro gaming podcast. If you want to catch up on our previous episodes, you can visit pieuvre.ca. We are also on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and on our host, Balado Québec. Until next time.